Wow. This is the most jump scare the podcast thing we've found. We found a fingernail on the couch.
Is it a fingernail or is it a toenail? It's big.
Oh, it's probably a toenail.
Oh, gross. We found a toenail on the couch. And I just screamed for 10 years because I was like, oh, what's stuck to my foot? And then I touched... There's another one! They were both stuck to my foot, which are on the couch right now.
Everybody, check your feet. Do we all have toenail? I don't have a toenail on me.
I love this place and I love this couch, but that did ruin this couch a little bit for me.
This couch is 10% worse. It's 10% more fitting within this show.
It is, because it was a jump scare. Not really. It was like a hop scare. It was tiny.
Boo!
Ah!
Hop scare. The podcast.
Hop scare. It's like a little scare. A little one.
Hey guys, we're here to talk to you about some things that we thought were minorly spooky.
A little bit, but not that scary.
Ooh.
Tax season. Ooh.
Hello, and welcome to Jump Scare the Podcast, where we take a premise, a concept, a Netflix original series we want to talk about, and we pitch it. It's normally our idea that we are sharing with the other person.
Also, we do the entire thing in announcer voices.
Yeah, we do. It's annoying.
The whole time we talk like that.
It's very annoying. No,
you did carry that on for longer than I expected, and I was just gonna let you keep going and see how long it went.
It's gonna be forever.
Oh no. Anyway, today I believe it's your turn to share.
Yes, give me the mic.
You have a mic.
Oh yeah, I put it here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I kind of came up with a title for mine.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's a working title.
Okay. They're all working titles.
Yeah, this whole thing is a working thing. Okay, so you ready?
Yes.
East of West. That's the title.
Okay. I'm getting North by Northeast feels from it.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. It's direction, so the film begins with a black screen, and up comes white letters that say, "Anarchy is fucking grace." And breaking in comes St. Jimmy by Green Day.
Oh my god, what?
Blaring in basically the like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then like here comes St. Jimmy coming down the other way, up on the boulevard like you just got an operate. Life is a cigarette. Here's everybody yet coming at you on the count of 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we get opened up to Catalina, who is our main character.
Okay,
for the film.
The island.
Nope, but it's. Think of Catalina. It's like, yeah. It's
okay.
It was pretentiously put there on purpose.
Okay.
So Catalina is this film takes place in like 2002. 2004 because St. Jimmy came out in 2004, so it has to be 2004. But it comes 2000s. Out right at that point, and it's the punk scene.
I like it.
And so it opens up with her putting on her makeup and getting herself ready to go out to a concert.
Rad.
And it's basically going to take place, I kind of put it, I'm originally from Utah, and so I kind of put it in that type of suburbia metropolis hybrid that Utah really specifically is. And so she's going to a place, for all those Utah people out there, she's going to a place similar to The Venue, which is a venue in Utah.
A very aptly named venue.
Yeah, it's like the most like sort of basic place. And again, for Utah people, I want it to be almost a mix of the Saltaire and the Venue in style, which is like a mix of almost like India Palace and then also just your basic ass music venue. Because the Saltaire is like a pretty famous music venue in Utah. But I didn't want it to be there. I wanted it to be downtown. So she's getting ready and it's like this song is hitting hard and it's hitting fast. And it goes through her getting ready. And then also you're seeing like her friends getting ready. But then it's also being blended in with the monotony of suburbia. And so you're kind of seeing like as this fucking punk anthem, anthem is going. Like her parents, like sort of reading the news together or watching Dr. Phil and mowing, like actually like snow blowing and those types of things. Yeah, it's snowing. I just thought about that at this moment, but it's fucking snowing.
Okay.
I
feel it.
And then it's like them crazy driving to the concert, and then them waiting in line and like fucking rocking out in line and getting in, and the band's playing, and the song is still St. Jimmy, and maybe they're also playing that or they're playing their own thing. It doesn't really matter. But then at this moment where it's all sort of building up and it's building, and then they like the band goes to hit hard, and the people are all freaking out and moshing and like shoving each other and really getting into it. And all of a sudden, there's a nuclear explosion.
Where? When?
So the nuclear explosion, basically, they're towards the outskirts of the explosion, but they are near enough that it burns everything to hell. And so all of a sudden, it's basically like my imagination is that there's like this white light that just eviscerates the screen, and then it comes to, and Catalina comes to, and everything is burning. And everybody is dying, and like you're literally seeing like people melting into the things around them, and people running and screaming. And she comes to, and she gets herself up, and it's one of those, probably a one take or those types of things where you're just seeing her run through chaos and anarchy. And so she's running, and she's getting shoved by people. She gets shoved to the ground. She gets back up. She gets out onto the streets, and she's seeing just the devastation that lies before her. And she makes her way through this city. And then what I want her to do is end up getting to sort of a warehouse type area where she like collapses, and she's like, you're having the ringing sensation, and definitely. She can't totally hear everything. And then then all of a sudden she finally is coming to, and she's finally realizing like, oh shit, her jacket is melted into her arm. And like she tries to peel it off, and she can't. And she's like, she like starts to take it off, and she can't get it off. And she's starting to realize her situation, and she just starts yelling, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? And like freaking out, and then collapses and passes out. And then it comes back to, and instead of snow falling, it's ash raining down on her. And she kind of comes to a little bit, and she starts hearing almost a slithering movement from above within this warehouse. And then a few people run into the room, and they're like, and they're clearly freaked out. They're clearly running from something else. And they get down, and then this beast basically starts killing all of them. Okay.
Sudden monster movie. Okay.
And that's really where I'm at. Is that this is a monster film of, and I don't think it's an individual monster. I think it's basically whatever this nuclear explosion was kind of created all of these monsters that are going to be existing for the rest of it. And so there are these really grotesque, but almost beautiful, fantastical monsters that are not good, not bad, but destruction.
Okay, interesting. 'Cause I was thinking originally that you were going to say that the nuclear explosion was to try to destroy them, and it failed. But it created them. So what is the nuclear explosion then?
Yeah, so what I was going for with this is I was going for that post 9/11 fear. And I was going for that anarchy is creation. That idea, and I wanted to put that idea to task. And I wanted to put it, and so where I kind of want this to go is them needing to get somewhere. Like once it's through the chaos, then they need to get to a zone or something, or somewhere outside of the vicinity that they need to escape these monsters. But that the end conceit is that this destruction, this attack that came in, that it is the starting of something new. It's a rebirth. And I think that the attack came from, I think there are two options. It came externally from somewhere else, and it feeds into that post 9/11 fear that was going on, or it came from the government as a reaction to something.
Does it need to be a, like, atom bomb, nuclear explosion?
No, it's undefined.
Okay, so it's just an explosion.
Sorry, it's not specifically a nuclear weapon.
Okay.
It's of that type. It's that sort of impact.
Okay, so it could be, for instance, there's a lot of different options, but it could be like an asteroid from outer space that strikes, huge explosion, and they're alien monsters, potentially.
Absolutely. So my non-negotiables for this episode are going to be the punk scene, early 2000s.
Okay.
And that it is this sort of monster flick.
I love monsters.
I want there to be these really creepy but beautiful things that they are encountering.
Great. We watched Bird Box together.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite part of that film was when the guy spreads out the drawings of the monster.
Yes.
And I wanted more of that.
I was not upset because I understood why they didn't.
Yes.
But those were absolutely the best part.
The best, because it was like a whetting of the appetite for the curiosity that you've had this entire film of what they look like. And so that's what I'm imagining when you say beautiful but grotesque, terrifying monsters, but like that kind of a thing. And I don't know how to recreate that kind of taste of terror in a film where you can see the monsters unless you don't see them.
I think you do. Okay. I really want to argue for that you do, and that I don't think this film can get made. Unlike last week's episode, at least currently, I don't know that it could be made.
Really?
So I don't know.
I love
maybe
that.
Could
continue.
But there were a couple things that I set up that if it could get made, these are ways that it can do it. It's a nuclear explosion, so there's dust and this sort of hazel glow or tone to everything.
It's kind of like
and there's constantly
Hill.
Things falling. Like there's constantly ash and stuff falling.
Yeah.
So you never have to have full clarity when seeing these things.
Okay.
Which means that when they're taking it into post and creating these monsters, they can get away with things.
Yeah.
And it can be. I went with punk too. I went with punk because I love the early 2000s punk scene. It's fucking awesome. But also because it's stylized.
Yeah.
And so I think I think you can really lean into the style. Some of my inspirations for this was the pool in Annihilation.
Yeah.
And with just that head sort of coming out of this, and that that's strikingly beautiful to me.
Yeah. Annihilation is so strikingly beautiful.
And Annihilation in a lot of ways was an inspiration. But also the Shadow of the Colossus video game.
I don't know it.
The basic premise, it's the concept of the game was that this guy's love is dying, and so he has to go kill all of these colossi to save her. And it's a really great game because it's like, at what cost? Why, you're killing these beautiful creatures, and these creatures are larger than life, and there's always this gray mist around them, and it's this sort of muted color scheme and everything that, and it is these beautiful giant creatures, and I think that this film could get away with showing these monsters when it is heavily stylized.
Right. Okay, cool. I mean, this is a production thing, so it wouldn't necessarily be a thing we have to actually deal with, but I love the idea of it being real prosthetic.
Oh, yeah.
Did we watch The Void together?
We didn't, but you've told me about it.
I loved their use of prosthetic for a modern film that came out very recently, and their creation of these monsters and everything. Loved that. And there's something so, I don't know, tangible about seeing prosthetic monsters on screen. They feel so much more real than seeing CG monsters. And I love that.
And I would absolutely love that. I don't know that, again, but we don't need to make this possible.
But we don't need to worry about that.
No.
I do like the punk rock thing. I think, and this is, you can just tell me what you think about this. I like the idea of still retaining the horror factor and the jump scares and the scary atmosphere while incorporating so it wouldn't be as much of a Shaun of the Dead where it's campy and funny.
No.
It's actually horrifying, but there have to be a few action moments that are scored by the best punk music, like them running or fighting or...
In my dream version of this, because I just listened to a lot of punk music during this, I listened to a lot of Green Day, because Green Day is just
so
a personal
good.
love of mine, and like...
2002 Green Day too.
Well,
2004,
and
whatever.
international super hits. Basically anything from Kerplunk up to American Idiot, and
American
that
Idiot
whole
was the
album.
soundtrack of like my childhood.
Yeah,
which
well,
is,
like
it explains a lot.
I would love to find a way that this film ends with Macy's Day Parade.
Yeah?
But what I want to do is that if I had my dream of scoring this thing, it would be that we took all of those classic or 2000s and basically from 90s to 2000s punk anthems, got rid of the vocals and just had the instrumentals and blended them into the film.
That'd be cool.
And so all of the time you're hearing like, oh shit, I know that one. But I'm not hearing exactly it.
Yeah. And I think it would have to be done really particularly so that it can't, for it to be scary, it can't be music the whole time.
No.
It has to be one part silence, one part
Yep.
music, or even 2-part silence, 1 part music. But it has to be very particularly cued. So it's like, it's silent. Something scary happens, jump scare, silence, jump scare, fighting, and then music cue, hard crash as it cuts to them running and the monster chasing after them. Like that kind of thing. Or music starts when they decide they're going to fight back and it's like, it's time.
Yep.
That kind of a thing.
Well, and with different monsters can come different things, because there can be ones that are really vibrant and loud and dangerous, and there can be other ones that are just as terrifying in the slow movement of them. Like I was thinking of like something where it's almost got tentacles or something that's like
a requirement.
slowly wrapping itself around them. And you can have those also where it blares into view and you see this thing right before your face and it's yelling.
Yeah.
Like you can have all of these different It's sort of a film that can have a lot of different pieces coming into it.
I think atmospherically, I think we definitely know what we're dealing with here. I think what we need to define now, I am personally a huge fan of not defining quote-unquote science to horror movies, because that's just, you're going to shoot yourself in the face doing that, doing that.
Yeah.
But I like ambiguity. I like vagueness when it comes to horror monsters, but I think there has to be a taste of explanation behind it. Just like with Cloverfield, there was almost no explanation except that the monster came from the ocean.
Yep.
That was a big thing. The monster didn't come from outer space. It came from the ocean, and that's enough for everyone to be like, okay, I buy it. Same with, in Bird Box, it was like, well, this is actually a monster that's existed forever in mythology, and now it's just attacking us now, or something like that. It's been awakened. It needs a tiniest bit of explanation.
Yep. So, yeah, absolutely.
What do you think as the creator of this? I don't know if we've even finished your list of non-negotiables.
No, I did.
Okay,
those were them. Yeah. So first into my mind is I like the idea of it being a meteor. That's a potential one. Yeah. Or if this is a nuclear bomb, that where it hit, there was something there, like there was something underneath that came out.
So like if it was
fuses with,
for instance, if this takes place in Nevada near Vegas or something, and it was Area 51 or something, and that's where it hit for whatever reason. And it doesn't have to come out at any point. It's just we need to know it in order to really explore.
Yeah. And I think for me, what it is the destruction and the annihilation that fused with the people that were around, and also some other entity.
Interesting.
And formed these monsters. So I sort of had an idea for the end, and maybe this means that these things are somewhat extraterrestrial.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Love aliens.
We've watched Misfits recently, and I think the cardigans scene, you look at you're wearing cardigans.
You're all wearing cardigans. Save me, Barry.
I think that speech sort of influenced this a little bit, which is
such a good speech.
At the end, I kind of want and it probably needs to be Catalina, or it needs to be one of the people who she knows, who's basically doing a speech of like, they're gods. They came and they destroyed. We get anarchy. We get what we wanted. We get to fuck capitalism. We get to fuck communism. We get to fuck it all, and that's what's great. We're free. That this is a good thing, to embrace it, to embrace the anarchy. And then, but really the cost of that is that anarchy in the end just creates a new power structure.
Very interesting. And that could be, it doesn't, it could be that her monologue says that, or something like that someone says that just like, if she's the one that gives that speech, then someone has to tell her she's wrong. Someone has to be like, don't you get it? This is the same thing it's always been. There's just a new person in charge. There's a new 1%. There's a new top of the food chain. It's the same as it's always been. That kind of a thing, which I think is a really even more powerful statement that, like, we say we want anarchy, but anarchy just results in the same patterns over and over.
Yep.
Which I think is really interesting and disheartening as someone who hates capitalism and wants to overthrow it. Cycles repeat themselves.
Yeah, because the problem isn't capitalism, it's humanity.
Yep. We've had this talk a lot.
Yeah, we have.
I have a lot of feelings about economic structures. Economic systems, I mean. But, I love that. I think extraterrestrials is a good way to go with it because that helps explain away your explosion bit. It can be an asteroid, a meteor, a comet, whatever. I think it's a meteor, isn't it? That's what hits the Earth. One of them doesn't hit the Earth and one does. I think it's a meteor hits the Earth and an asteroid doesn't.
I think so. I think you're right.
Something like that.
Yeah, because that is correct.
I think scientifically.
Well, actually, wait. No, I think what it is an asteroid, a meteorite. Oh God. A meteorite is what lands on the Earth.
Okay.
Oh, fuck us.
I don't know. I'm not science. Can you believe for a hot second I thought I was going to study astrophysics? I had a physics teacher who was like, you got to study it. And I was really fucking good when I took physics.
You would have been great.
I would have been great if I had done it. But also, the math. I can't do math. I can't count to 5. Anyway, I think that's great because it solves for a lot of issues.
I agree, yeah.
It takes a lot of the like, is it a terrorism act? Is it a nuclear? Blah, blah, blah. It takes, like, that can still be a question, but I think it should be, the audience knows already that it's not. And then you get the amazing, wonderful imagery in the first act, this montage of everyone getting ready, punk music, you get suburban monotony, you get the mundane, you get the teenagers trying not to be mundane but still being kind of mundane, and then you can also have intercut with that images of a meteor literally hurtling towards Earth through the atmosphere to this punk rock music, getting
like
closer and closer as these kids are fucking partying at a concert, and then it strikes and then silence.
Oh, I really freaking like that.
Right? Isn't that good?
That's fucking great. Yeah.
It's great. And then that doesn't mean that the alien life forms have to be aliens entirely. It could be that whatever, bacterium or bacteria or radiation or whatever was attached, or alien life forms attached to this meteorite did fuse with the surrounding. And so you get all different kinds of monsters based on whatever
it's attaching itself to.
Yeah.
Totally. It could totally be.
Kind of like Annihilation, but different.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think,
kind of like The Thing, but different.
I think that's it. I totally think that's the behind what is causing this.
Yeah.
Because that's so... I think that's so fun.
Yeah. And I don't know... So you mentioned a little bit about people trying to get to a safe zone or whatever. I like that. I like that because we've seen so many post-apocalyptic movies where the apocalypse happens and then it cuts forward in time by like 5 years.
No, yeah.
And I hate that.
And oh snap.
We gotta go.
Yeah.
Should we pause and then come back and pick it up from there?
Do you think we have 5 minutes? Because I think I can wrap this up.
In 5 minutes?
I think so.
The whole thing? I had so many things I wanted to say.
Oh, okay. All right, then never mind. We'll come back.
We're back.
After
a quick commercial break. There are no commercials.
There aren't. You did not hear a commercial right there. But what you are hearing is a little bit of distance between the early segment of this episode.
Yes, so we recorded the first half, and then we took a break, stepped away from it, had some thoughts, and came back, and now we're doing the second half.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So the two things that we realized when we had to step away, and then we came back, and we were discussing the film itself, is that there were sort of two big questions. One was the aliens and how they functioned within the story, and then also how it functioned thematically. And so I kind of went away with those thoughts, and then I came back, and I've done some more brainstorming on my own, took some of my own writer time off to think about it, and now I have some new ideas.
And I'm super excited to hear them. Hit me with your new ideas.
Hit me with your new I don't know. Okay, so I first want to start off with the aliens and the ideas that I kept from the for first portion and that I'm using moving forward.
Cool.
So it is an asteroid that hits Suburbia, USA.
Awesome.
And
Love
it's
that.
an asteroid. Asteroids are bigger. Meteors are smaller.
Oh, you
It's
did the
an
research.
asteroid.
You did research.
That's why you take writer's time off to do research.
That's all writers do. 90% of writing is research. Okay,
Yes.
continue.
Okay, so that causes chaos and anarchy for Catalina and her punk cohorts, who I have 3 new cohorts to add to the crew.
Cool.
This is our 4 main characters.
Cool.
So I wrote little character descriptions, so I'll just go through those so that everybody's up to date. Catalina, protagonist, someone who fits within the punk scene just about as well as she fits within Suburbia. She can blend between the two, but she never quite fits.
Okay.
Then we have John, your stereotypical white dude.
That's it. That's all you need.
No, he'll probably grow up to be nothing, but he likes to wax poetic about something. Just give him time to age and he'll mold into the cog he's supposed to be.
Okay.
Cool. Then we have Luke, rage man. Like, he's ready to rage, man. And he does. Vega, who's a good friend, likely the only one Catalina has.
Mm-hmm.
She wears earbuds at concerts and is as ready and as ready as she is to fuck authority. She's also not wasting her life on this town.
Okay. Solid. Identify. It's like tag yourself. Tag yourself. Vega.
Yeah. Tag myself, John. No, John and Catalina. Mainly Catalina.
Yeah.
So those are the 4 main characters. So I'm keeping all that we talked about within the sort of musical anthem beginning with the asteroid being juxtaposed, and then it all coming together for this chaotic explosion.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of it just being Catalina running through the chaos, it's all 4 of them trying to get through the chaos and finding some sanctuary within a warehouse.
One quick question. So Vega and Catalina know each other beforehand because they're friends.
Yes.
Other 2 dudes, do they know?
They're all the friend group.
So they are all a friend group, but they all survive this thing together.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So my theory on this, from going back and listening to a lot of like first person stories from Hiroshima and different things like that, is that they are in sort of the center of the mosh pit, and so they while other people around them die, they take in some of the like least impact due to just them being inside and then also surrounded by people. So they survive.
Lots of body shields there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Solid.
So then sort of where I still leave it at is them in the warehouse and then starting to be attacked by these alien human hybrids.
Yes.
So this explosion of this meteorite is sort of similar to Annihilation, except for it's not radiation, it's instead biological.
Cool.
And so it's it's this like biological organism that molds within the humans to
like
create
the
these
thing.
Crazy monsters. Like the thing, yeah.
But in a populated area, not the middle of the Antarctic or wherever.
So it's these exactly. And so it's definitely like the thing. It's these this hybrid. And what I want to play with that is something that I think also Annihilation kind of plays with, but this, when you have these 2 entities merging together, what is taken from both of them to create this final form. And so the thing that one of the things I want to play with is like human nature and how that infects with these monsters. So I want the monsters to have different sort of personalities and stuff. So there are ones that are vicious and are like trying to protect themselves and save themselves. There are also maybe ones that are more community driven. And then there are also ones that are just scared. And so like I think that there's sort of a moment where all of the characters see the humanity in these aliens of like, oh, this one's really scared. Like, oh, these things are merged with us.
Yeah.
But what that leads me to is the thematics of this.
Okay.
What I wanted to come back to is that anarchy is just the starting of a new
system,
order, a new normal.
Yeah.
A new 1% taking over, which is something that we early on talked about.
Yeah.
Is that this is just a cycle, and this group of humans is finding themselves at the bottom. And that's where I want the film to end with, is that they come together as a group, united, but also understanding that they're the new bottom.
Yeah. Cool.
In this society.
Cool. I like that. Does everyone survive to the end of the 4?
Luke is a douchebag.
Okay, cool.
He goes crazy. So I have two sort of thoughts on this. Luke goes crazy, tries to kind of assert within the explosion of this society, there becomes a power vacuum.
Okay.
And that's the same within this friend group.
Okay.
And so now all of a sudden Luke's like, oh, I can be the alpha. I can take over. I can be the leader of the new society. And he gets killed. Like, they're like, bro, you got in bloodlust. You're horrible. And they, like, I'm assuming an alien kills him.
I think it would be great to that play out in a way where we talked about them running towards trying to escape towards a safe zone or something, and maybe he tries to prevent them from doing that because he wants them to stay in a place where he can have control over them.
I like it. Yeah.
And that would be an interesting scene to have that play out, and then he gets killed.
Yep.
And they're like, nope, we're not staying here.
Yeah. Yes, I completely. I think that's sort of the final little moment, and that monologue that I kind of talked about in the first one. I think I want him to be delivering that, and he's giving that, and then it's like, bro, you fucking lost it.
Yeah, that's not how this works.
Yeah, and the other one is I want John to have started mutating, but
cool.
I want him to survive at the end. I want all 3 of them to live together at the end.
And he's one of them.
He's one of them.
That's kind of cool.
And it just goes to that point of that not all of these aliens are bad, and it's instead,
not all aliens.
Yeah. It's instead the problem is within humans' nature to need hierarchy and class divide.
Cool. I like that. I like where this is going thematically. Something that I had thought about during our break that I don't know if it fits anymore, you tell me, it's because there were so many themes of anarchy and everything, and I was struggling with that a lot the first time around because I'm like, I don't know how to visualize that or thematically deal with that plot-wise. And then I realized, well, if it's about everything turning into anarchy, everything going to shit, basically, what if it follows a similar structure where you can't necessarily predict what's going to happen next, where things happen so quickly and change course so quickly that like someone dies who you don't expect to die, kind of, you know how everyone was so surprised when Game of Thrones killed off a bunch of characters, that kind of thing, where it feels almost chaotic in structure. It's like, oh, it was an explosion, oh, now there are aliens, oh, this person's in charge, nope, this person died. And this idea of like not having a full understanding at all times of what's going on because it's so chaotic. But I don't know if that fits now, because now we have these characters that we're following that have arcs.
They have arches. Arches National Park is now in this film. It always was, because it's Utah, guys.
It's Utah. Okay.
This is just my hometown that I'm killing off. I'm killing off 2 different parts of myself.
Wow, this is really deep.
This is certified deep.
This is very therapeutic for you, it sounds like.
It is. Yeah. I mean, when I say Catalina is me, this one is pretentiously like, I grew up in a theocracy, and I hated that, but I also didn't fit in with the stoners, so I left.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the end arc for the 3 characters who I do want to survive. And so I do think I really like that idea, and I don't want to kill these 3 characters off, is I guess my end thing, because it still has one of those big themes of friendship and community, and that there is, like, maybe the only saving grace is low stakes community. Is like literally the people you have directly around you, and the rest of the world is fucked.
I think there could be, and again, this is the kind of thing that would come out with a fully developed script where we're able to have side characters and things like that. it could work if at some point we're following these 4 characters and then suddenly we start following a different small community of people, kind of like how in Shaun of the Dead, where it's like there's a parallel group. But instead of them disappearing, come back at the end, maybe you follow them for a hot second and the audience is like, wait a second, I thought we were following the other characters. And then something happens and bounces us back to the first characters. And like, it's kind of
oh, I like that. Yeah.
all over the place, but in a way that still tells the story and serves the themes.
I like that. And I mean, whether they like sort of dismantle as a group, they sort of give in to that power struggle or something, but they fall apart. Or maybe it would be interesting is they all end up as aliens. And they are they're the parallel side, but they are within the cogs in the system.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah. Well, so that brings me to kind of an ending that I thought of for this, which is, so they all make it to this safety point and they realize that the whole world is burned to the ground.
Okay.
And it's all this is going to take over everything.
Okay.
And this is the new world order. And so they all sort of band together, you know, they all grab hands. Maybe John's is all fucked up or something. and they're all like, we're gonna survive together. And it fades out and then it comes back up and Catalina's like hunting. And she kills an animal and drags it back to their home base, which is sort of covered in leaves and stuff. And like they've clearly like dug a tunnel and like barricade themselves away. She grabs some objects like that were sitting out on a rock that you don't quite see. She goes inside and John's like completely formed into whatever he is, and Vega's there, and they're like all start making food and stuff. And maybe they've got like a sign language book, so they're all speaking in sign language to keep the quiet down and everything. And then as they're making dinner, Catalina reveals what she grabbed on the rock, and it's fully charged iPod Nanos. And they all put in their headphones, they press play on the same playlist, and it's a fucking anarchy rock anthem. And they all sit there and shake their hands and like freaking dancing. They're not moving their legs because that would make too much noise, and they're all grooving, and it kind of moves up and it goes up, and then you go up top and you see a monster move across the top.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That's the end of it.
That's cool. I like that. I also like the fact that I did not see that coming at all. Any of that, which fits in with what I was saying about like a plot and a story that is so almost outrageous or frenetic that it's hard to follow or predict.
Yeah.
Which fits in with the whole anarchy and punk rock scene and all that, which is great.
Yeah.
Because like my first thought was like, oh, at the ending they reach the safe zone and it's like kind of like what was that movie, the South African one with the aliens where they live in like a ghetto?
Oh yeah, District 9.
District 9, yeah, and it's like, oh, they've quarantined this area and there's a new world order in that area, but everything else is still the status quo.
Yeah. But
no, that's not what you're saying.
Nope, everything's over.
It's entirely different. It's just a real
It is a
hard
whole
heel
new
turn.
world order.
Okay,
yep.
Rad. I like this this like strong theme of counterculture, because the punk scene in the beginning is supposed to be representative of counterculture, but in a way it's still within the mainstream, but then by the end it becomes an actual act of rebellion.
Well, and I think that's the cool thing about the 2000s is it's not a counterculture anymore.
Yeah, no.
It is now being enveloped with the rest of society.
It's just as corporate and capitalist as everything else.
And yeah, it's just some suburban kids trying to pretend.
Yeah, it's playing at counterculture. It's playing at rebellion, but it's not. And I like the idea that their arc is going from that, playing at that idea of counterculture, which is what not John, other character. Luke represents, is this like he wants to stay in where he knows it's familiar because it's safe and play at counterculture, play at New World Order or whatever.
Yep.
But that's not how this works. And now by the end of it, they have to actually, but basically just being alive as they are and living as they are is a rebellion.
Yep.
Which is what real counterculture should be, which I think is a really great arc, and works, I think, very thematically with this, which is really exciting.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I really like how that turned out. Did you have any other like little bits here or there that you wanted to share that you wanted to see in this? I was actually most interested in John, and his arc from becoming a symbol of the patriarchy, a symbol of the current empowered group, and then becomes a symbol of the new empowered group within his group of friends who are a minority.
Yeah.
In both situations, which I think is very funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. That's good. It should be pretty funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I took that's taking from like Shaun of the Dead and all of those types of where, it's supposed to be. We always, I think, view these things as a negative. It's with every zombie film, it's a negative that this person is becoming a zombie. But it's like, but what if your friends accept you?
Yeah.
Like, what if there are still people in this world? I love in Shaun of the Dead when she's like, when it's at the very end, and it's some random woman on the telly who's like,
he's still my husband.
Yeah, he's still my husband in there. You have sex with him?
I love that movie.
Yeah. And
but
so within this is like he still has some agency at the end and stuff. And he's still in there, but he's also definitely whatever else is there too.
Yeah. Which is really interesting.
Yeah.
And then I'd love to see for like the final image of like the alien moving across the screen, whatever, to see basically what we've seen already, but on a scale that's like times 10. Like it's like so much time has passed that it has evolved into something
that's massive,
insane, massive or just intricate or something we haven't seen yet, but it would be like the eventual evolution of this monster. I think that would be a really fun final thing to see. Like, holy shit, this is what this will become.
Yeah, I really like that. Totally.
Which I think would be super cool.
Which is like, we're seeing basically like the aristocrat of this new world order.
Which is physicalized, I think, in the aliens, which is really cool. I like
it's just wearing a top hat.
Oh, okay. It's a top hat and a cane, monocle.
Yeah, nothing's changed. Literally nothing. And it's all bad. That's how we ruin the movie. With
it's
its
just
final
capitalism,
shot.
But with aliens.
We took the joke too far.
Yikes.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything else that jumps into your mind?
I like it. I like the parallelism of the first scene and the last one. I like the bringing back the same song. I think for it to pay off really well is you have to see all of the characters in the beginning jamming out the same way in their respective homes or whatever before they go.
Well, yes, absolutely. It definitely starts with all four of them separated and getting ready and everything, because you gotta see them getting into their punk garb. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to see these transformations, and then also them all in the car, and then them finally at the concert together.
Yeah, I was thinking it would just be great to see the same even iPod thing while they're getting ready, like in their homes, and see it played out again in the end.
Gotcha. I was thinking that was because they're trying to keep it quiet.
Yeah, but it's the same thing as when you live in a suburban home.
They're all. Yeah, no, I like that. That's totally a good point. Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I thought. That's the one image. Otherwise, I'm pretty. I think that's pretty cool. How do you feel about it?
I feel really good. Yeah, it's all about coming up with what that survival structure in the middle is now, which is always the daunting part. But I think as far as what's there and the ideas behind it and everything, it was really helpful to have that initial one and then to be able to take that time with it.
Yeah, sure. Anything else we got to update people on at the end of this one? Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and whatever other platform you listen on.
Yep, you're just going to look at your app and you're going to see the button that says subscribe on the Jump Scare album, and you're going to press subscribe.
And you're going to leave a 5-star review.
Yes, and you're going to write something.
You're going to write something that's like, this is great. That's all you have to write.
Those hosts are amazing.
You could also write that. You're going to follow us on Instagram at Jumpscare the Podcast or on Twitter at Jumpscare the Pod. We're also on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And... well, I think that's everything for today then.
That's everything.
Yeah. And Casey.
Yeah?
The status quo. Your punk rock nightmare.